All right, guys, we are live back at the New England Fan Fest 5. Jonathan, we talked earlier about, what people bring to these kind of conventions, but one thing is action figures, Jonathan. Joining us, we have a guest right now. Jonathan, let's introduce him.
I couldn't be more excited right now. This is amazing. Chris Depetrillo is here from Figures Toy Company. Chris, how are you doing today?
Doing really good. How are you guys?
So happy to have you on. There's a lot of big things happening in the world of action figures, especially wrestling action figures. We mentioned you are from Figures Toy Company. Now, there's been some rumors. Hopefully you can clear this up with us. You guys are starting your own line of action figures, correct?
That's right. We have the Ring of Honor license for their action figures, but we're also doing an in-house brand of the best on the independent scene, as well as some of the wrestling legends getting new figures.
So I have to say, there's been some dirt sheet news about how WWE is a little upset with
just
this,
a little bit of news,
because you guys are actually going to unveil the first, I guess, Kevin Steen / Kevin Owens, however you want to dress it up, action figure. How important was it for you guys to get Kevin Steen on your first line?
As far as the Kevin Steen figure, a lot of that spin doctoring that's been going around, WWE or whoever's been coming up with the news sheet news, it's never been to piggyback on the Kevin Owens rise, whether it was NXT or WWE. When we first signed the licensing agreement with Ring of Honor last year, the goal was to put Kevin Steen in the first series because he was an ROH headliner for the past 7 years or so. Top guy with Generico, world champion. So to put him in that set with Adam Cole and the Briscoes, that's a good core group to kick off with, 4 of the most major names in recent Ring of Honor history. So it was never a WWE thing. It's just that the way production has fallen, unfortunately Kevin left before we could unveil him as Kevin Steen in Ring of Honor. And it's great for what's happening for him. So no one should be mad about what's going on as far as releasing the Kevin Steen figure, because it's not about being Kevin Owens, it's not about being on Raw, it's not about his career now, it's about what he's done for Ring of Honor. The important thing is the Ring of Honor brand and what he brought to the table for them, and that figure is just as important as a first-time Adam Cole or first-time Briscoes pack.
So we have Kevin Steen in that series, we have the Briscoes, Adam Cole?
Yep, those are the first 4 figures in the set. We do have other figures in production. Series 2 is in the middle of production right now. There's a few more figures to round out for that. We have a Ring playset coming out, which will have an exclusive figure packaged with that. And we've also confirmed lineups for Series 3 and 4 for the future.
Okay, now my biggest question is going to be, obviously you work for Figures Toy Company. What was your favorite action figure growing up?
Oh, that's a loaded question. I love the Hasbro line. Those old 90s Hasbro figures, I had every single one of them. The Ultimate Warrior was one of my favorites growing up. So his little Hasbro figure, the green one, you push down the tab on his back, he'd jump up. That thing went with me wherever I went. I still have it to this day. It's on a shelf. I was really a sucker for that line. And I love the Jax line. A lot of people have been asking about the style, the mold of these new figures. These figures are going to be the same style as Jax Ruthless Aggression or Classic Superstars. So it's almost like an expansion of a very widespread set that's been out. A lot of people were concerned that we weren't going the Mattel route, but no one but Mattel is going the Mattel route. And Jax gave us a huge variety of figures in the classic set, in the modern line with Ruthless Aggression. So now, whether you're getting these Ring of Honor guys that we're doing, if you look at our Legends line where we have the first ever Blue Meanie figure coming out, we've got the first Jim Cornette figure in 20 years, people can expand on a pre-existing collection. We don't have to worry about fans starting over again. They can add to what they've already got.
Now, we're big fans of wrestling. We all have our ideas of who should be an action figure, who shouldn't be an action figure, and that sort of thing. If you could sign a person for your dream wrestling action figure, who would you choose?
Besides us, of course.
Oh,
I know
obviously.
you guys want to get the first podcast action figures, but besides that, I let them answer that.
I mean, just as far as cool-looking action figures, I'd love to do a Delirious in the Ring of Honor line, because I think costume-wise, with the mask, the tassels, I think that would really pop against all the other figures. I like the characters. I like, the Blue Meanie was made to be an action figure. That figure is going to be awesome-looking, and it amazes me that ECW or WWF never cashed in on the Meanie and did that, because that's a character. That's what people like to see. Guys, we want to make these lines pop. So even a guy like Adam Cole or a Briscoes, they've got their trademark attire, but we're going to be packaging these figures with figure T-shirts, with figure belts, with accessories, basically kind of looking at the Mattel Elite format, where it's a more upscale version of just your basic figure. We want to gear these towards collectors and towards that audience that's watching Ring of Honor or New Japan or the indie scene.
So as far as the series, you mentioned that the Ring of Honor is going to have a series. You're going to have the Legend series as well.
Yep.
Are there any other planned series that I know that there's a lot in the works, but like just an overview, like maybe tag teams or another company or anything like that? Is there like anything else that you can tell us?
We've got the hottest tag team in the business, the Young Bucks, signed on for our quote-unquote indie line. We are working on an official brand for that. But for the best guys on the independent scene, we've got Matt and Nick Jackson on board. We've got Cliff Compton. We've got Brian Myers, the former Kurt Hawkins. We've got Joey Ryan. We've got guys from the Bullet Club, Kenny Omega's first figure ever. We've got Doc Gallows and the Bullet Babe, Amber O'Neal. And we've got about a half dozen more names still to be announced. Definitely targeting the guys that are free agents but that could be a part of this, because if you think about pro wrestling tees and the way these guys are branding themselves, we want these guys to have more merchandise to market themselves. It's not just for us. We want to give back to the indie scene too and let these guys get their face out there a little bit more with something different and bring this figure line to light.
When you were sculpting the Joey Ryan action figure, I need to know two things. Does it have a mustache?
It does.
And is the bulge correctly, is it accurate?
I haven't seen the full body mold yet, so if not, we'll just package it with an accessory sock. And,
okay, absolutely. Joey was on our show a while back, so it's good to see that he's getting an action figure. What are some of the challenges with this? We saw some of the face scans. They're amazing, the sculpts. And, what is there anything else that is kind of difficult other than the paperwork and everything to get these people online? What's the challenges that you've had?
I mean, it's just the nature of the beast that not everybody might be interested in the deal. We had a couple of people that, just weren't interested for one reason or another. Obviously, with the WWE trying to kind of put a kibosh on everything, that hasn't affected anything to a major extent. There might be one or two people that kind of were like, I want to kind of see where things go before I come on board. But for the most part, the entire indie scene has been extremely receptive. It's led to contacts in actual federations as far as possible actual branding. Brian Myers has been a huge help to me. Brian Myers has kind of really stuck up for me and vouched for me and got me in contact with some great people. So anyone listening, Brian Myers, the former Kurt Hawkins, buy that action figure because he has been helping me with this line. So you're supporting the line if you're supporting Brian Myers. The Young Bucks, everyone's been so accessible, so on point. Even the ROH brand, even though it's a licensing agreement, the talent still has input. Adam Cole still looks at his action figure, decides what the best accessory is going to be, what the best T-shirt logo would be. So we try to be as accommodating as possible, and they do the same for us. It's really that we're in sync with all the talent that we're dealing with.
So as far as release dates for this series, the first series, Ring of Honor, when can fans start? Can they pre-order on the site?
We don't have the pre-orders up yet. We did just release the prototype sculpts showing the likenesses of the 4 figures. So if you haven't seen them, you can check them out on our social media. It's Figures Toy Company on Facebook, @Figures Toy Co. on Twitter, Figures Toy Company on Instagram. Ring of Honor Series 1, estimated early release date, I would say around fall, so let's say September or October. I know they're working on the touch-ups on the paint jobs and the final detailing, like tattoos and such, on the first wave of figures. Series 2 should follow not long after that, since it's already in production. And as far as the independent guys that we have on board and the Legends, we should have at least some of those figures out by the end of the year, so like a holiday season release. So
I'm going to ask a crazy question. I know that you guys are really busy with the figures, but I am an absolutely... I'm a mark, is what we're going to call it. I collect. I'm a big figure person. Is there any plans to do rings from you guys, or would that be something else down the line that maybe you guys wouldn't handle?
As far as a ring playset, there's an official Ring of Honor ring playset coming out.
Wow.
We're doing that. It's going to have the Ring of Honor barricades, it's going to have accessories, and it's going to have an exclusive figure. We're going all out with that.
That's just amazing. Now, Figures Toy Company doesn't just do wrestling figures.
Correct. We have the license for a lot of Warner Brothers properties, including DC Comics. We do the retro 70s Mego-style action figures. Our big hit is the Batman 1966 line. We do the likenesses based on Adam West, Burt Ward, and all the characters from the TV show, and a lot of old school. Yesterday, we just announced that next year we'll have the first ever Wonder Woman series featuring characters from her comic book. We just released the Justice League wave, which is perfect timing with that movie coming out and the trailer coming out. We've got Scooby-Doo coming out, Hanna-Barbera cartoon characters coming out. We're pretty in deep with the figure business as far as not just wrestling, but also superheroes, classic TV shows. We've done the Three Stooges, Dukes of Hazzard, Dallas. There's a whole wide variety. You can check them out on figurestoycompany.com.
So is there plans for the invisible jet for Wonder Woman? I mean, you could just say it's out now and no one would know.
That's
You
true.
could just
I
say
was thinking of the joke to make, but you
yeah,
beat me to
oh,
it.
I'm sorry.
But believe it or not, the invisible jet actually gets requested a lot. I mean, I'm not sure the specifics that would go into it, probably just a clear plastic plane, but that actually gets requested almost as much as the Batcave and the Wayne Foundation does.
Wow. So we are in Providence, Rhode Island right now. We're live at New England Fan Fest 5. Hasbro actually has their company here.
Yes.
Which was shocking to me. This is my only second time in Rhode Island, first time in Providence. Now, are you were from the area originally, or
Yep. Born and raised in Rhode Island? Figures Toy Company is based out of Tampa now, but their roots are in Rhode Island. They were here until 2009, and it's actually Hasbro's wrestling figures that kind of kickstarted us getting into the wrestling business. The whole reason I got my job is because my friend ordered a Hasbro Yokozuna from Figures Toy Company back in 1998, and we went to pick the figure up, and I started talking to Anthony Belasco, the owner of Figures, and they had just signed the license for ECW and WCW replica belts. I am a mark as well, if you want to say that. I've been watching wrestling since I was 3 years old, and I'll be 35 this year, so I've watched everything throughout life. And Anthony was kind of amazed at the useless knowledge that stays in my brain, just the factoids that I have. And I've been with Figures Toy Company since I graduated high school, since 1998-99, and I've seen them through the contracts with WCW, with ECW, when we did the replica belts for WWF, then became WWE. We've been on board, for a long time in the wrestling business, and it was because he had the Hasbro figures sold to him from Hasbro on like a closeout when the line ended. And when the Attitude Era kicked off and Stone Cold and the NWO and all that stuff got popular, he wound up selling more Hasbro stock than any of the other toys that he was selling, and that's what led to him to looking into wrestling. And now here we are. We've worked with all these great companies in the past and looking ahead to the future with ROH and our own brand.
Now, in the past, I saw that you guys had a custom figure where
Yes.
you could do that. Is that still available?
Yep, myfaceonafigure.com is an offshoot of Figures Toy Company. It is owned by us, and you can get your face scan. You can pick the body type you want, whether it's a wrestling action figure. We have superhero t-shirts, so you can have your own Batman, Superman, DC Comics inspired figure. If your dad's a fireman, if your dad's a soldier, the soldiers, that's been a really popular one for us for fathers or mothers that are deployed overseas. They do a thing where they will have a figure made of the parent to leave with the child while the parent is deployed, and that's been a huge support system for a lot of military families. That's been a very popular seller for us.
So we just can't thank you enough for joining us today. FiguresToyCompany.com.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. And be looking out for all their announcements. Follow them on Twitter. Do you guys have Instagram? Do you have
Yep.
all that stuff?
Instagram and Facebook is the official company name, so if you type in Figures Toy Company, will pop up. Wrestling Superstore, where we sell a lot of the wrestling products, is also on there, so WrestlingSuperstoreOnline.com. WrestlingSuperstore.com online if you're looking for us. Wrestling Superstore on Instagram, at Res Superstore, WRES_Superstore on Twitter, at Figures Toy Co. on Twitter, myfaceonafigure.com for custom figures. Find us by any means possible. Check out the great products we have.
Well, once again, thank you so much for joining us. Like Steve mentioned, I think that we could sign the deal right here today for another Wrestling Podcast Figures. What accessories, Steve, would you want with your figure?
I definitely need my glasses. I need a pointing finger. I always point at things.
A microphone, obviously.
Yeah, Jonathan definitely needs the beard accessory. You
Yep.
got to get the beard.
Snap-on beard accessory.
Snap-on beard. Yeah, man, that's it. I don't know. That'd be really awesome. I think we have to get our own figures made, Jonathan.
Yeah, maybe like a sub sandwich too. Just for
We'll
me.
take
I
over the
don't know.
wrestling business. We'll just make anyone in wrestling that we can do. We'll just take over the industry.
That's it.
I-
We'll go big.
love
Go
it.
big or go home, right?
I thank you for not only doing what you have done here today, but doing what you're doing for the wrestling business. You talked about Pro Wrestling Tees kind of revolutionizing what these guys are doing, but this is the other thing, and it's a great thing to see. We look forward to all the stuff you're coming out with, and thank you and continued success. We just can't wait for all these action figures that are coming out.
Thanks. And when everything comes out, I'll come back on, gladly hype it up anytime you guys want to have me back. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.